after I released my last video about pain and how to copy pain. I got a lot of messages from you asking like, how are you, Martin? Are you in pain? What's going on? So I thought it's a good moment to make a little bit a more personal video. Not so much about teaching, but like telling you how I am and what's going on in my life. It's one of my most favorite places in Zurich. And it's a good place to reflect a little bit. It's a place where I go swimming, yes, in the cold water, but I come to that at the end of the video. So I wanted to share a bit like, how am I? So first, what's going on? 2 months ago or so, we found other metastases in the liver, and first it looked like it's not good, we cannot do anything, and now it seems like we can have surgery, which is really good news. Of course, it will be a big surgery, and so it will be energy draining, but I talked yesterday with a good friend, and he said like, yeah, this will be a big thing again, and I said, look, I mean, there are people that can have no surgery, so I'm really glad if I can have it. And so next week I'm gonna meet the team, and we're gonna see what we can do and what kind of options we have. And we also gonna, hi Swan, and we're also gonna see in the long term to put me on a list for a liver transplant, because if this thing comes back and back again in the liver, we have to check early, because the waiting list is around a year to see if this is an option, and if yes, to put me on this list. So that we're going to decide next week, and in the next weeks I know a little bit the timing of my next intervention, which I think is really helpful, because at the moment, since 6 weeks or 4 weeks, I'm in this limbo, not knowing what's the timing, because we didn't have the date with the new team. And how does it make me feel? I'm just honest, it's pretty tricky. It's tricky to live in the unknown, and maybe you face yourself in your journey, or maybe also with your situation with COVID unknown. And so you know a little bit how it feels. Like the brain doesn't like the unknown. The brain likes things that it knows, and like doesn't have to learn new things. And so it makes me feel insecure. It makes me feel sad sometimes. I have the feeling that on the surface I'm like doing well, I'm working, I'm going along my day, but then from time to time I observe an emotion or an energy coming up that is not like so uplifting. And it's not that I'm completely depressed, but it feels like my boost or my energy level is not on 100%. I'm just sometimes a bit mellow. And so what do I do with that? Well, I try to observe it and just sit in it. I stopped trying to hide it. That's the first reaction we have, like, oh no, I'm fine, everything is good. I think that's not good. I think that's BS. Like, life sometimes it's hard, and the first step is to be aware of that. Like, life is a struggle. It's the default setting of life. So the first step is really to accept that and observe that sometimes it just doesn't feel so nice. And then what I do is I try to find techniques and methods to relax into it. Like I try to meditate. I don't only try, I do it every day actually. And so it helps me to learn, and it's a learning, it's not easy. I mean, meditation, can make a video about it by itself if you're interested. It's hard. It's like, it's a skill. Like, nobody likes to meditate in the beginning. So if you try and start doing that, just don't be so harsh on yourself if it's tricky. Like, it took me quite a while until I got into it. But then once you got into it, it's nice, because you have these moments where suddenly it feels like you stop thinking, or you just have a tiny little window of like, okay, emptiness in a positive way, like in a calming way. So that helps me a lot to sit in this emotion, to detach myself from the emotion. So that's one thing I do. And the other thing I do is what I do here. I go into the cold water, because I believe that that if I want to learn to cope with with my emotions, I have to do it on a somatic level, on a body level. I cannot just write and think about it. I have to learn it with my body, and going in a cold water is not comfortable. It feels like in the beginning it's like, ugh. So your body wants to run away, and that's exactly what I'm trying to train, that when I have this moment, I relax into it, and I just take a deep breath and fill my lungs with oxygen, and just realize, okay, my whole system can actually relax in the stress. And I found that very helpful, because I can transfer this knowledge, this ability, this skill onto my psychological challenges that I observe. Okay, now I feel like, and I can like tap into this resource that I learn here in the cold water. So yes, that's two techniques that I use to cope with my uncomfortable emotions. I try to meditate, and I try to get used to the uncomfortable, to hug it in the end. I think it's a hugging. I think that's a wonderful picture, like trying to hug your uncomfortableness. And then suddenly it's like, if you fight with somebody and then you give each other a hug, then suddenly everything relaxes. So yes, this is how I feel. I don't feel totally bad or like sad or depressed, but I'm also not in the peak of my life, in a sense that it's challenging. And if you face a challenge yourself, like let it be COVID or let it be your own journey, just be kind to yourself. Like accept that sometimes it's just hard, and that's okay. Like it's part of the coping, to allow yourself to say, okay, today is maybe not my best day. So yes, I hope this was helpful and insightful to also have a little bit of personal update. Let me know what you think, and also if you have topics that you're interested that I should talk about, let me know in the comments. And always very, very much looking forward to get your feedback and hear what you think. So sending you all my best wishes out there. Take care, all the best, and see you next time. Bye bye.